Oh my goodness, I'm live already. Hi, TMFA. Hi, everybody. It's Technique Tuesday, and as you know, that means it's time for me to get on and chat about accents, accent training, and everything accent related for you here on TMFA. So, welcome. I hope everyone's having a great week. We're sort of driving quickly towards the end of summer, and that always feels like an interesting time of transition for many of us. I think because we've been conditioned to know that the end of summer is when we all have to go back to school. And so there's always this idea that summer is a break of some sort, or lots of different things going on. And as we head into the fall, that now we get back to work. And so if you find yourself feeling at all that way, like a lot of people do, I've actually had a bunch of conversations around this idea that, well, summer's almost over, we got to get back to it. You know, one of the things that I'm going to talk about today is a general American accent and everything around it and what it is and why it is and why we use it and when and all those kinds of things. Um, the reason that I want to talk about it today, because as we edge nearer to the end of summer and people feel like they want to start getting back to work, after maybe a summer off or, in COVID times, it's very weird anyway. Now is the time to really put a list together of the things you want to do before the end of the year to level up your career, to make sure that you are in a better position come January than you were when you started this year. You want to always be moving your career forward, right? Last week I had Danny Clifton from Union Management on with me, and we talked about that a lot, about how we always want to be moving forward. You're a professional actor. You're an actor. So you're always working on something as we go forward. And so the general American accent is but one of many skills that you're going to need as an actor in your career. And so we're going to talk about that today. As always, my friends, question time. I'm here to answer your questions and to make sure that you get the best support accent-wise that you need in your career. So any questions you have, pop them down in the comments. I want to make sure that I get to answer them. So we'll see how long I'm on today. I plan for about a half an hour, but it always goes longer. So hop on again in the comments and let me know if you have any questions. I like these to be conversations, my friends. And I know you do too. You don't just want to hear me talking at you. I want you guys to be able to say stuff to me, and then we can chat a little bit. That makes it a little more exciting. So let's talk general American accent. What is a general accent? Okay. I am going to create a tiny little graphic here, all right, that I'm going to share with you. Now, this graphic, it's not a perfect tool. It's a graphic that I use sometimes, and it just is. It is what it is. It doesn't describe perfectly the thing that we're after, but I think it does a good job of giving us an idea of what general accents are and why they fit into our scope of accent at all in these ways. So I'm going to write this down. All right. So what is a general accent? A general accent, my friends, is an accent that is largely absent or lacking of regional and local distinctive markers. So, for instance, it's an accent that lets me know you're from a generalized place without telling me any real specific information about, what real specific part of that place you're from or what specific people group you may belong to. What social group you belong to. So in a way, there's I use this again. It's not perfect, and I'll just explain to you its imperfections as we go through. But this is how I like to think of kind of looking at accents. All right, if we think of, we've got general accents, we've got local accents, and we have demographic accents. That's my poor handwriting right there. All right, so general, demographic, and local. A general accent is on this end of everything because it's largely absent or missing kind of these features, these local and demographic features. A more demographic accent would be lacking sort of local and general features. And a local accent is going to be lacking demographic features and general features. All right, now, you'll notice that I've written general on the top of this chart. This, my friends, is not a hierarchy. General accents are not better because they're on the top of this chart. Okay, I could have written it like this or any other way that I wanted to write it. So general, demographic, local, they are all equally important to expression of accent in the world, and they are equally important to the expression of accent in art, how we use these accents in art. So think of it as, you know, like you can put your accent pretty much anywhere in here. All right. Let's do my accent. Now, we have talked in the past, my friends, they're coming out, about your accent, what it is, and your accent identity. All right? And we discovered your preferred accent. Lots of different ways to think about your preferred accent. All right? That preferred accent lives in here. Okay? Goes in this. Somewhere in this area, your preferred accent lives. Where? Let's discover that together. Go ahead and write this or draw this picture for yourself in front of you. All right? And we're going to discover where, boom, Mr. Preferred Accent or Mrs. Preferred Accent, Miss Preferred Accent, whatever the pronouns are here, the preferred accent needs to go. We're going to discover where this guy goes in here. All right? So for me, this is my preferred accent. If you guys remember, I described my preferred accent this way. Mostly General American-ish, with 2 big scoops of West Texas and upstate New York, and a handful, a smattering, if you will, of more British-style vocabulary from time where I lived abroad. So, where does it live in here? I guess it's mostly General American. But it's got, boom, couple local things. Got West Texas and upstate New York in here. All right, in terms of demographic, you know, we could talk about the fact that I'm white, I'm a man, you know, these kinds of things. We can talk about all of this. All right, demographic. Think of demographic, for instance, as like immutable physical characteristics for you. For instance, skin color, eye color, hair color, gender, sexual preference, these kinds of things. A lot of these play a role in demographic accent features, for sure. So just think about those. The amount to which local and demographic sort of play a role, it varies widely person to person, widely. So, you know, for me, if I'm saying this, I've got, you know, so local to, I'm, you know, born in Colorado, just north of Denver, right? But I've also got this local from West Texas and a local from upstate New York. So those 3 kinds of local accent features fit in. But demographic over here, all right, so, you know, like I said, I'm a white guy, I'm a man, you know, LGBTQ up in here as well, and, you know, so those things filter in. The level to which they all filter in, it actually, these things are variable. They change quite a lot depending on the circumstance we're in. Because as you well know, preferred accents change over time. And they actually change on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis as you go through your life. So indeed, this is going to change as this changes, as we essentially code switch, is what we call it. We code switch our accents, depending on who we're talking to and the situation we're in, to make our speech, it's happening again, my friends, more formal, with more detail, or more informal, by using more fluency strategies, okay? So these things all connect together in how we kind of want to describe our accent on any given day. So today, I would say my accent probably lives somewhere in this area. Mostly general, but edging towards some more local features, I would say. Probably in this area. All right? This is just one way for you to try to think about your accent in a slightly different way. Because you'll notice this doesn't say General American. This is general. So there are versions of general accents all over the world. We could have general British accents. We could have general French accents, or German accents, or Australian accents, South African accents, Nigerian accents, general Japanese accents, general Taiwanese accents, general Korean accents. Get the point? General accents can be general wherever they are from. And most general accents are only general in as much as they have lost most of this stuff. Not all of it. These demographic and local features filter in all the time. All the time. So this is why I describe my preferred accent as mostly General American. Mostly General American, because I do have 2 huge scoops in the local area over here of West Texas and upstate New York. And I get a little bit of smattering of, that British style vocabulary, which is also a demographic and a local thing as well, based on where I lived for a number of years. So general accents exist all over the planet. So as you're thinking about what your preferred accent is, I think it's important for you to also think, well, is my preferred accent, based on where I'm from, a more general accent of that place or not? Is it a more local accent or a more demographic accent of that place? And probably, let's face it, a mixture of those things. Definitely is going to have that happen. So let's talk general American accents. So a general American accent. I do not want you to get confused when I say the name General American, because here's a few ways this gets said. So we have General American. You might hear Gen Am. You might hear so-called General American or SCGA. You might hear Standard American. All right. These are all ways that people like to describe general American accents. We like to use the word general because that's actually more descriptive when it comes to accent. General. And I will often use the word so-called general American because, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, this accent doesn't actually exist in the world in a way that, for instance, a West Texas accent from Lubbock exists in the world. All right. That's a very distinctive place, location, demographic group, people, and it has a very specific culture that created this specific accent of this place. General American has no home, right? It has no home. It's just this outside of America. It's just an accent that's lacking its, home base, if you will. It's lacking its demographic ties. It's lacking its local ties. So-called General American, I think, is a useful way to kind of describe it in a lot of ways. Because we're not going to have, a place to sort of nail it down to. But just know that those are words that you're going to hear the industry use. You're probably going to hear Standard American. I don't like this word, Standard American, because it implies that there is a standard of American English to which we must aim and adhere. And this is not the case in accent or acting or speech of any sort in any way, shape, or form. The only standards that we need to adhere to are, can I be understood, and is my communication successful? If both those things have happened, then we've achieved the standards, the only standards we can adhere to in acting and speech together. So Standard American is just, it just rubs me the wrong way because it implies a standard that we need to adhere to, and that doesn't exist. That being said, you're going to hear it a lot. Just know that when people use Standard American, they usually mean General American, and sometimes they mean an accent that there's an aesthetic preference of what they think this accent should sound like that they're going to be aiming for. So just know you may hear all of those. Now's a good time for me to bring in another name that you may hear people use when they think they're talking about General American. Mid-Atlantic, Transatlantic. Both of these accents, all right? Neither of those accents are General American accents. Transatlantic, Mid-Atlantic, and usually they're about the same thing. This is the accent that you heard spoken in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s in Hollywood films. Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant, everybody else. They all spoke with versions of this by and large. All right. Some people didn't. Tony Curtis certainly didn't. He kept his Brooklyn accent. You know, in Spartacus, I'm Anakinina singing songs. It's great, right? So cool accents still existed. People didn't want to give up their accents or had a hard time doing it, frankly, based on the way accents were taught back then. So this transatlantic, mid-Atlantic accent was essentially created as like an American version of the British received pronunciation. And that British received pronunciation accent that, Olivier and Gielgud and all the, Shakespearean actors got over in Europe and in England, that was an accent that was a prestige accent, meaning it came with a level of prestige. And, you were definitely of another class of person if you spoke with that accent, and they wanted that accent for their actors. So, as the American film industry was ramping up, they wanted an accent that was like that for America, and so they created this mid-Atlantic or transatlantic accent that was sort of met right in the middle of America and the UK, boom, right in the middle of the Atlantic, hence the mid-Atlantic name. All right, this accent, again, does not exist in any meaningful way in the real world. There's not like, people who live in a town who will speak this way. This is an accent that you'll hear aging actors and old school voice and speech teachers at universities speaking. But it's an accent that's thankfully going the way of the dodo. And it's going to be extinct hopefully really soon. I usually don't applaud accent extinction, but this was an accent that was used to oppress and discriminate against actors of color for a long time in training programs. Because you'd come into a training program and they'd say, no, you need to sound like this or you can't be an actor. So they had you get rid of your accent. And as we know, accent equals identity. And so when we lose your accent, we lose your identity. And so we lost a lot of, I think, powerful art that way. Thankfully, training is moving in another direction right now where you get to keep your preferred accent through training and you get to learn how to do other accents. So this mid-Atlantic accent, I'm happy when it goes away. I'll be happy when its teachers go away, because anybody who likes it and wants to sort of force it on actors in training, it's just their aesthetic preference. It's not a real accent in the real world outside of actors. It doesn't exist that way. And it's an aesthetic preference where a teacher thinks they need their actors to all sound this certain way, and I hate that. That's a burr under my saddle if there ever was one. Let's see here. I'm just going to check and see if I have any questions. Very nice. No questions yet, as it turns out. A quiet crowd today. It's a very quiet Tuesday here at the end of August, but I get it, you guys. I get it. This is why these things are recorded. You can always watch it when it's not live. I'm happy for that to happen. So, that's general American accent. That's my TED Talk about mid-Atlantic accents and why they should go away. So why do you need a general American accent? All right. Depends on who you are in this business, what your relationship with the general American accent is going to be. All right. If you are from America, you may already speak with a general American accent. You may. But you may speak with a general American accent that is kind of general, but also super demographic. Or kind of general, but super local. Or somewhere in here that's a little general, but a lot local or demographic. You may have that. All right? So, if that's the case, I would suggest learning how to do accent skills so that you can modulate your own preferred accent if it is already a kind of general American accent. So you can make it even more general if you wanted to. You could make it more local or more demographic if you wanted to. So even if you are an American already and you already speak with a mostly general accent, I would say learn some accent skills. Learn how this apparatus is working so that you can modulate that accent for every single character and story that you're a part of. On the off chance that not every character you play is going to speak with the same accent you do. And I would say that's 100% certain. You'll run into one or two characters in your career that speak with the same accent as you. But every character you play is going to speak with a different accent than you. Almost like 99% of them will. Whether that accent is a little different or a lot different, that's up for, there's a lot of wiggle room in there for sure. But you're going to have to modulate this accent a lot. So it is important for you, American actors, looking right at you, pointing right at you. It's important for you guys to learn accent skills so you can modulate your already general accent if that's what you have. If you're an American and you're from, let's say, the South or from the Northeast and you've got a wonderful Boston or Maine or a New York or Jersey or even like upper Midwest, Chicago, Minnesota, Wisconsin, any of those accents, Pacific Northwest, along the Canadian border. If you're Canadian, for instance, if you're from Southern California and you've got a real Southern SoCal accent, even Intermountain West like me, any of these places, I think it's important for us. It's important for us to learn how to do a general American accent so that we can again fit into more stories than those just tailored for our preferred accents. This accent, my friends, General American, is the most asked for accent on the face of the planet. I get asked to coach General American accents more than any other accent. It's the most asked for thing in the world. And the reason it's the most asked for is because it's one of the more flexible accents here in the American market. If you want to be a flexible actor, learn how to modulate your General American accent, or learn a General American accent and learn how to modulate it through accent skills. All right, that's the best kind of career flexibility advice I can hope to give you. And then once we got a General American accent, if we need to modulate it to be way more demographic or way more local, then suddenly we could go from a general accent all the way to a Atlanta, Georgia accent. All right, we can modulate this stuff. So once you have a general accent, I like to think of it a little bit like a home base from which we can plan excursions to other accents from that same place. So Americans, this is for you in particular. A lot of Americans don't think they need accent training because they already sound American and they can get work sounding American. But if you really want to work and have a long career and a big career where you do a lot of cool stuff, we need this. We need this general American accent, and we need accent skills to be able to travel anywhere on this map that we want to go. So that's for you, my American friends. Now, suppose you're not from America. Suppose you're from somewhere outside the States. And I mean anywhere. It's not going to matter where you're from. You could be from a place where you already speak English. Australia, England, South Africa, New Zealand, lots of different places where you might already speak English. Even places in Europe, you might already speak English. But if your native tongue, if your mother tongue is something other than English, this is going to be an important accent for you as well. Because you know that you're going to come into this market, my friends, with awesome preferred accents. You're going to come with an accent that will make an American actor go, oh, I wish I had that accent. Oh, I wish I had that. But you already have it. So this is great for you. You already come with that preferred accent from your country of origin and your linguistic history of origin. But if you want to play roles that are American, you're going to need a general American accent. Again, the same things apply as what I was saying for the American actors. You're going to need this accent to be able to modulate it so that we can use it as a jumping off place for other American accents and things of that nature. So if you're outside of America watching this, or if you're inside of America and watching this and you're from outside of America, this is going to be a really important accent for you. And it's an accent that you're going to want to learn to master early on in your career. You're going to want to have it early on so that you can start building a career and sort of building a reputation as an actor who can do awesome American accent. You want to start there. So make this your first one. All right? To do that, I'm going to say this. Accent skills. I'll give a TED Talk every time on accent skills and why you need them. They apply to all the accents you will ever learn. And then you can become a master of accents and not just a master of a few accents. You want to have all the accents at your beck and call. So accent skills are crucial to this. Think of it the same way as you take acting technique classes. Right? If you think you need Meisner technique to become a better actor, it's the exact same thing as taking acting or accent skills workshops. It's the same kind of technique. It's acting technique that'll set you free so you can be an accent actor. So this is why you'll need general American accents, everybody. There's a lot of stories that are being told in film and TV that want general American accents. So now is the time to start working on them. I did have one question, actually, that somebody sent in. Where did that go? I had it here. Bear with me, everybody, while I look at my important list of questions. Oh, here it is. So, Danny Steele, an actor here in TMFA, asks, because he couldn't watch live, so he posted this question earlier. He says he's a Brit, and sometimes goes too hard on his American R sound. He can tell the placement changes in his mouth when that happens. How would I advise to counter that and sound more natural? Great question, Danny. So the American R. Wait for it, everybody. This is going to get exciting. Prepare to have your mind blown. The American R is a vowel. Shocking, right? Now, in spelling, the R we treat as a consonant, don't we? It's a consonant. But not in speech. For us in America, our R is a shape. Essentially, we have shaped this space. Air and sound are traveling through that shape, creating a sound that we recognize in America as er. It's a vowel. For most of the rest of the world, my friends, the R stuff tends to be a consonant. All right? It can be an alveolar trill. Ra, ra. It can be an alveolar tap. Ara, very, very, very. It could be bilabial approximate. It's great, great. It could be a labiodental approximate. It's really great. It could be an alveolar approximate. It's really great. It could be a retroflex approximate. Really great. All right? It can be a uvular fricative. It's really great. Really great. It can be a uvular trill. Really great. Great. Right? So we have all these things that we will call consonants, essentially obstructions of that flow of air. And in America, boom, baby, it's a vowel. We get vowel R here in America. So one of the reasons why it's hard for people coming from a language background where the R is a consonant for you to come and think of it now as a vowel. Because it always in your brain, because that's your mother tongue, you're going to think of it like a consonant. So we have to shift that thinking so it can become a vowel. I'm going to do a Facebook Live here in a week or two talking about vowels and consonants and the difference and how we know and how we treat them in spelling versus how we treat them in speech, because they're really different. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but English spelling and English pronunciation have absolutely nothing in common, do they? So the American R is a vowel. So Dan's question, he can tell the placement changes. So essentially what he's doing is my guess, without seeing him, I can just guess at this, is so we're taking the middle of our dorsum on our tongue, we're arching it, and then we're pulling that whole apparatus back and up in our mouth here. All right? The sides of the tongue curl up and press or brace against these back teeth, and we get this er. Now, if I take this apparatus and I press too forcefully against these back teeth, I am going to run into a consonant problem, where I'm going to start treating this vowel like a consonant and get great. And that's what I tend to hear from a lot of Brits who are learning this, because their brain thinks it's a consonant still and not a vowel. So my best advice, Dan, would be to just open that up. The vocal tract posture of General American features a pretty big space back here. And if we can open that space up, so lift the soft palate and uvula, which is this stuff back here, the soft palate and uvula. If we lift this up, then we get a lot more space here for the tongue to pull back in here. And we get this Now, the relative ease of this will be determined by the other sounds that surround this So if it's a g, great, those all both happen in the back of the tongue. But if it's trust, where I go from the front of the mouth to the back, that can change things quite a bit. And so we really have to practice being flexible with our tongue being able to go as opposed to just being static. All right? It almost would be easier if the American R was not a vowel, if it was instead a consonant, because then it would happen at one of these locations where the other consonants are being made a little more easily and a little more easily known. Frankly, we'd be able to know it more easily. It'd just be, our awareness would be sharper of it, because vowels are nebulous and strange and hard to nail down sometimes, all the time. So if the American R was a consonant, this would be easier. But it's a vowel, and I kind of cherish that about the American R. And being an American with an American accent, it's kind of one of the things that makes American accents special. So we get this So the American R, vowel, Danny, that's what I would have more space. Lift that soft palate and uvula up a little more and just test yourself. How much effort do I need to expend on this thing? Am I using too much? Not enough? Just, could be any of those, frankly. And again, without hearing it, hard for me to say for sure. But that's the direction I would point you in. All right, my friends, that's about 30 minutes I've been talking. It's about what I planned on. Let me finish up by saying this. All right? Accent skills workshops. All right? If you come to me and want to learn accents, this is where I will send you. You're going to go to my accent skills workshop. Courses.dialectcoachchrislang.com. All right, that's where you go. You'll sign up there. All right, you can sign up for the accent skills workshop. And, believe it or not, I am currently in the process of making an on-demand general American accent workshop. It's probably going to be 6 or 8 sessions long, depending on how it turns out. I'm creating it, and I'll be recording it here in the next couple of weeks. So it should be up in here in mid-September. But you can buy both the accent skills workshop and the Gen Am workshop together. If you do that, you can take them at the same time. Then once you complete those, you can come to me. We'll work privately, and we'll make sure that you get that accent mastered. That's the exciting stuff. So just know that that's coming up, and you can actually pre-order it right now. You can pre-order it. Courses.dialectcoachchrislang.com. I invite you, come check it out. Any other accent questions, come to my website, dialectcoachchrislang.com. I have a very friendly chat bot who's happy to talk to you, and will take your information. And then you'll get a link at the end of that, that conversation with the chat bot, to sign up for, or schedule rather, a Zoom consult with me, a 20-minute Zoom consultation. You'll pop it in the schedule. We'll meet then. We'll talk about your accent training goals and everything. So, I got a comment. Ethan Redmond, evening, Chris from Northern Ireland. Welcome from Northern Ireland. One of my favorite accent places in the world, too. Love a good Northern Irish accent. Very, very good stuff there. So Ethan, welcome. And like I say, if you're interested in accent skills workshop and a general American accent workshop, you can actually sign up for the bundle for both of those right now. And the Gen M accent workshop, once that's ready and I've released it, you'll get access to it for sure. Because TMFA, you are my favorite actors in the world, there's going to be a coupon code you can use, social distance, all one word. Social distance, 20% off. I'm going to give you guys 20% off of this workshop. But come, take the workshop. Now is the time, my friends. Do not wait to start studying accents when you book a project with an accent and you've never done one before, or when you get that accent audition and you don't have the accent skills for it. The time to get your accent skills squared away is before you need them, well before. Just as a reminder, because I was on last week with Dan Clifton from Union Management, the online actors retreat is still happening. The website has yet to be released. There was a little glitch. So as soon as that's up, we're going to post it here, and it'll be a part of our Facebook Live. Just know that you can get early bird pricing by signing up, before the end of September, and you can do that. And then let's see. So you're going to get access to me and accent panels, accent sessions, casting directors, working actors. Wendy is going to be there. We're going to be doing a panel discussion together on the Sunday night of the retreat. So please do come. It's really well worth it. It's very reasonably priced. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of it. So as soon as that website's up and you guys can check it out, I would say go there. If you have interest right now and you want to just let them know, it's hello@unionmanagement.co.uk. So So you can email that and just say hi to Dan there. Hey, say, Dan, Chris from TMFA sent me, and I want to know more about the online actors retreat if that's the case. So come on over. Courses.dialectcoachchrislang.com, Accent Skills Workshop, and Jen and Ethan asked, can I get 100% off law? If only I could do that. Maybe someday I'll give a scholarship. You make a compelling case, I could possibly be persuaded to give a scholarship, but for now, 20% off I'll give you, and that's a good price. Normally it's $297 for the 6-week workshop. Get 20% off of that. I think it's a pretty good value for you guys. So, and then you can bundle it also with the Gen M. All right, my friends, that's all for today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll circle back and say hello and answer your questions. Or you can come to my website at dialectcoachchrislang.com, leave your info, and we'll schedule a consult call where we can take care of your accent needs. All right, that's it, my friends. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Get outside if you can. If you're in a place in America that's suffering from wildfires, don't go outside. Stay inside. But if you can go outside, fresh air is always a boon to your spirit and your soul. All right, everybody, I will not be here next week, but I think maybe a special guest will in my place. So I'm going to take a week off of TMFA, but I think I'll have somebody here taking my place for that for next Tuesday, but then the week after. I will be back. And anything you want me to talk about in terms of accents that you have questions about, please post a TMFA question, hashtag TMFA question, in the group, and I will see that, and we'll do our best to, I'll make sure that I can talk about it in a Facebook Live. All right, my friends, hope you have a great week. That's all for me. Until we meet again. Bye, everybody.